Hello and welcome on the Watches TV, and today we continue our special collaboration with our friend Suzanne, who will go over two new releases by Ulysse Nardin. Let's go.
Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of our video series about the 2020 watch novelties. These are the latest releases from Ulysse Nardin. Two new Freak X models called Ice and Magma, you can probably tell which is which. Together they form a pretty dramatic set of aesthetic opposites. The first Freak was released in 2001, which makes its 20th anniversary next year, just in case you want to note that down in your calendars. Now, in the last 19 years, the Freak has managed to remain continually surprising, which is quite an accomplishment in our industry. If you own a Freak, you're not part of the mainstream. That's safe to say. Apart from their iconic appearance, they've also made their mark in horological innovation. The Ulysse Nardin Freak pioneered the use of materials such as silicon, which led to the rise of one of the most innovative and well-known specialists in the horological applications of silicon, a company which you may have heard of called SIHH. They're based in Sion. They're very cool. We've seen all kinds of unusual escapements in the Freak, experimental, direct impulse mechanisms and such, not to mention unconventional methods of winding and time setting. The original configurations of the Freak didn't have winding or setting crowns. Winding and time setting were achieved by twisting the case back and turning the bezel of the watch. The Freak X was first presented last year, and it's essentially a kind of hybrid between the emblematic display of the original Freak and a more standard automatic movement. This allows for a much more accessible price, hovering around 20,000 plus Swiss francs, which is actually not that far off the price of the original Freak when it debuted in 2001. And that may sound incredible to us now, but we forget how disruptive the Freak was at the time. Ulysse Nardin had no idea if there was a real market for it, how many they could sell, if they could sell it at all. They definitely did not make money on the first series of Freaks, that's for sure. This movement configuration that we see in the Freak X takes up way less energy than the original Freak, seeing as the original Freak was basically a giant rotating movement and needed an enormous mainspring that was pretty much the same size as the movement. Visually, however, there's no doubt that this is still a Freak. You can see that the escapement is still on the end of the minute hand mounted there, which makes one full rotation every hour, effectively making this a 1 hour tourbillon mechanism. Technically, maybe not, depending on how strict you are with your definition of tourbillon, but effectively it is one. The hours are indicated by this white hand right over here. I mentioned before that the Freak is no stranger to unconventional materials, and you can see that the Freak X Magma has a case with an interesting appearance. It's actually a red carbon fiber composite where the black lines are the carbon fiber sheets and the red comes from a special binding epoxy resin. The Freak X Ice has a case of matte titanium, so the contrast between the two, side by side, is really stunning. For those of you who have always been fascinated by the story and groundbreaking nature of the Ulysse Nardin Freak, the Freak X is a great way to kind of slide yourself into that world. I really like the Freak X Magma.
Hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching, and a huge Viva Watchmaking to you!